Welcome back to the BTB Show, everyone. I'm Max, Omar, and Earl over there.
I got your name
Today,
for a second.
we're talking about the Detroit Pistons, more specifically Cade Cunningham, who just got announced a day ago, suffered a collapsed lung, apparently, in a game against the Wizards a couple nights ago. He's now out for a decent amount of time. Apparently, there's some, quote, optimism that he'll be back by the start of the playoffs, but that's to be seen. The injury right now seems to be considered mild by the Detroit Pistons medical staff, but the Pistons currently are only 4 games ahead of the Boston Celtics for the first seed in the East, and they're 5.5 ahead of the New York Knicks with 13 games to play. So, Earl, I'm going to throw it over to you first. Do you
Yeah.
think the Pistons can hold the line and finish the season as the 1 seed even without their MVP caliber star, or are they going to actually slip at the last second and give that first seed to Boston or New York?
Yeah, I think I'll start by saying like praise to Cade Cunningham, obviously, him and his family. Collapse lung is definitely not anything to not I don't want to use the word joke around, but play with, I'll say. I mean, in the history of the NBA, there's only been like 4 to 5 cases of collapse lung. And apparently Cade Cunningham is just the next in line, which unfortunately sucks for him and the Pistons. But right now, as far as seeding, they got a 4 game comfortability between them and the Celtics right now. Personally, I think guys have to step up on this team. Who that person is, I don't know. I've seen stretches where there were no Cade. Cunningham and Duran stepped up as a scoring option. I've seen his offense kind of expand in those periods of time. Maybe we can see that. I know, no jokes here, guys. I'm being so serious, but guys like Tobias Harris literally have to step up. It's no jokes. There's no memes here. He's the veteran on that team. Kate Cunningham is not there, and somebody has to pick up that extra scoring. And I'm looking down on the roster, and I think seriously he might be the best option for that. As far as playmaking, I'm not 100% sure who that responsibility goes to. I might be kind of a casual when it comes down to their roster head to toes, like who's next in that line. But they're going to need everybody. Everybody has to step up when you lose your MVP caliber player, top voting at MVP, your all-star player as well. So I don't know, man. I think the Pistons, for me personally, the Celtics are on a roll, man. Like they look almost unstoppable at times with Jason Tatum coming back and Jaylen Brown. You can kind of see these last couple weeks they've gotten their chemistry back, and it's getting a little bit scary. So I think there could be a chance for the Boston Celtics to catch them. Knicks are 5.5 games back. I'm not too sure if the Knicks catch them. No bias there. Cleveland's definitely not catching them at 8 games back. So as long as they kind of float around, I think win out maybe half. They stay around 500 on these last 13 games you said. They should be fine. Personally, I think they finish around worst case second seed for me. So Pistons, they got a lot of work to do. I don't know what the schedule looks like as far as toughness, but yeah, I have confidence that they remain in the first seed. If not, worst case second seed. But shout out to Cade. Hopefully he gets better soon.
How do you feel, Omar?
I mean, look, I share the sentiments, same as Earl. The scoring will be taking a hit. I mean, I think both teams, second and third, are going to be able to pass up the Detroit Pistons. Unfortunately, we did see that stretch where we did see them without Cade Cunningham, and they did play pretty well. But unfortunately, at some points, you kind of have to look at the entire squad and be like, can they replicate this in the playoffs? Can they do this for the rest of the season? Can they do this to motivate themselves? And my answer is, unfortunately, my answer is no. I don't think they're gonna fall down to the point where we're gonna see them mid tier in the Eastern Conference. I think they'll win some games, and I think they'll lose more games than they win games, and I think it'll be like a maybe an 8-8 stretch or a 7-8 stretch or something like that, to the point where they do fall down a few seedings. But we're not talking about a drastic move here in terms of where they will lie. And hey, maybe Cade will be back when they start the playoffs. And unfortunately for them right now, that is their best case scenario. You want to rest Cade up until the playoffs. You want to make sure that that lung is fully healed and fully, I guess I'm not sure how this works, but fully back in place before you have him back on the court and have him do anything too extenuating. Because I think we talked about the collapsed lung. I mean, was he away? Was he home? I can't even remember at this time. But I remember in one of those cases that you can't fly for a little while. And one of those players happened to be across, like, on the Western Conference when they were playing for the East or vice versa. So they had to go back and take a 4-day bus ride home because they're not allowed to fly. So it's very concerning. again, like Max said, they are saying that it is a mild case, so hopefully he comes back during the playoffs and just leads that team the way that he was able to lead them in the regular season. And let's finally show people that regular season basketball does mean something, because there's a lot of people that think vice versa.
Yeah. Personally, obviously, first off, hope Cade's doing well. Hoping for the speediest recovery for him. He's had such an awesome season. The Pistons have really high expectations, high hopes this playoffs. It would stink, quite frankly, to see their whole season and his season's derailed by an injury so late like this. So hopefully he'll be able to come back healthy, strong for the playoffs at the very least, regardless of where the Pistons finish in the East. But personally, I'm more on the side of Earl here. I do think that with the 4-game advantage, they're going to be able to hold the first seed. And for my prediction to come true, I'm going to highlight 3 guys that I think the pressure is on the most to step up. Obviously, everyone has to step up their play a little bit, but I think the onus falls on 3 guys in particular. Starting with Jalen Duren. He is the second All-Star on this team. He's still averaging, 19 points per game this year. This is going to be his opportunity, like Earl said. There's been stretches, in the stretches where Cade goes out, he has had to step up and become more of a scorer. He's one of the bright young stars in this league. I know he's more known for his defense and rebounding, but this is where I think he's going to have to start having consistent 20-plus points into the 25 points per game. He's going to have to step up. He is, as the second guy on this team, if he's going to be taken seriously, I think going forward in the NBA, this is his time to show that, yes, I am Cade's second option, but if he needs me, when Cade's not there, I can step up and be a legitimate dominating center. So I think there's a lot of pressure on him. I think there's a lot of pressure on Dennis Jenkins, because remember, this is the guy who, when Cade was out the first time earlier in the season, Dennis Jenkins stepped up and asserted himself from a two-way player into a legitimate, starting NBA guard. And he started some games even when Cade came back and was slowly recovering from his injury. Obviously, since then, he's moved onto the bench, but I think a lot of the scoring and playmaking, the lead guard responsibilities are going to fall on Dennis Jenkins. And I think there is a good chance you're going to see him being the leading scorer on this team for a number of games. We've seen him do it before, and I do think that that's going to have to continue. Oh, sorry, so I'm having with my camera. But I do think that that's going to have to continue going forwards. The last guy that I think is going to have... Oh, there we go. We're back. Last guy that I think is under a lot of pressure right now, and this may come as a bit of a surprise, but I think it's Kevin Huerter. Since they traded Jaden Ivey for Kevin Huerter, he hasn't really fit in a ton with this team. He's not played a ton of minutes. He's only averaging 6 points per game. But I think now that Cade is out and Dennis Jenkins moves to the starting lineup, I think Kevin Huerter becomes their spark plug off the bench. And this is the kind of situation that you trade Jaden Ivey for Kevin Huerter. You get the veteran, you get the shooting option, you get an offensive weapon, a proven guy who's done it in the playoffs before. If this team is going to succeed, I think Kevin Huerter has to play a part off the bench. Doesn't have to be 20 points per game, just has to come in and provide some consistent floor spacing and shooting, solid enough defense, because Cade plays a lot of minutes. We know that. So there's not just a lot of production, but there's a lot of minutes now at that guard position that opens up. And Dennis Jenkins, when he moves up a level from bench to starter, I think Kevin Huerter is going to have to move up from that end of bench / eighth or ninth man to a 6-man role. So those are the 3 that I'm personally looking at. I think Tobias Harris is another good shout as well. But personally for me, I'm looking at Duren, I'm looking at Jenkins, I'm looking at Huerter. I think if all 3 of those guys step their play up noticeably, I think Detroit's going to be able to hold the 1 seed. But that's just my opinion. Curious what y'all think in the comment section below. Do you think that the Pistons can hold the 1 seed for these last 13 games, or are they going to slide in Cade Cunningham's absence? As always, keep an eye out for our content here on YouTube as well as on TikTok. We appreciate all you guys watching. Enjoy the NBA games that are going on tonight. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Adios, everybody. Signing off.